Hi everyone! Welcome sa isa na namang episode ni Inang Pamantasan kung saan ang pagkatuto ay walang hanggan. Ito ang PNU Talks. Good day to all our viewers. I'm Carmela Depano-Panganiban, a proud alumna of the Philippine Normal University. I earned my bachelor's degree in Library and Information Science in 2013 and my master's degree just recently. I'm currently working at the Supreme Court of the Philippines as a librarian. I'll be your learning from home buddy for this episode entitled Organizing Your Bookshelves Like a Librarian. Since so many of us are still at home, maybe most of you were in a hybrid or high flex work setup, it is important to ensure that your workspace at home would make you feel comfortable and productive at the same time. So I thought today would be a perfect opportunity to give you some motivation to just clear out your bookshelves and organize them like a true librarian. No matter how digitally the world gets, books are or ought to be a timeless part of our lives. And I believe that most of us, if not all, ay merong mga libro o koleksyon ng mga libro sa ating mga tahanan. And it's very important that we organize them, like how we organize our wardrobes at home so that we can easily get our outfit of the day. According to Adam Bro, the director of the Painted Furniture Company, having books on display really adds a homely feel to any interior scheme. And so it's very vital that you have your books be organized. Of course, how you organize them really comes down to your personal taste. There's no right or wrong ways on how you do it. Organizing your bookshelves doesn't have to be complicated or time consuming either. So I have rounded up here a list of 6 easy and smart ways on how you can organize your bookshelves like a librarian. I have compiled here some of the expert approved tips that will help you create a library worthy level of bookshelf organization. That's not just practical to use, but also beautiful to look at as well. So let's get started. Tip number 1 is to declutter your shelves. Before you start organizing your bookshelves, you have to go through your book collections and start to declutter. You have to decide what books to keep or what books to get rid of. So you have to decide alin ba yung okay pa, alin yung hindi na, alin yung pwede pa, at alin yung hindi mo na kailangan. So in library, we also have this process and we call it the weeding or the deselection process. This is a process of removing library materials from collections based on certain criteria such as outdated materials or yung masyado ng luma and condition of the book. If okay pa ba siya o sira-sira na o baka meron ng mga kulang na pages. So, hindi na rin siya masyadong relevant. We're also reading books that haven't been checked out for so many years o yung walang circulation history. For layman's term, ito yung mga books na wala pang circulation record o hindi pa nahihiram. So, we are also considering that for weeding. We're continually doing the weeding process as we welcome new books in. If we do not do that, then mapupuno yung ating library and we cannot accommodate new book collections. So it's very important for us to do this process. So for us at home, it's important to start by sorting through the books and separate the ones you no longer need. You have to eliminate the excess and you start fresh with only the books you wish to own. Because more important than the sanctity of your bookshelf is the sanctity of your space. So, this is just to give you an example of how great your shelves can look afterwards after decluttering. So, number one, you save a lot of space. And number two, this looks so much better already. Tip number two is to donate the books you no longer need. It's a great idea to go through this process as well after decluttering. Never feel guilty about donating books because chances are, when you pass it along, someone else will find it and would actually love that book. It's a good thing that someone else can use it rather than we'll just throw it away. Many libraries welcome book donations. Of course, yung in good condition naman. Typically, libraries have donation guidelines. You may approach your local library or your city library. And even your school library would be a great new home if you're giving away your used books. Let's move to tip number three. Showcase your favorites. So for example, I love this series of books. So I'm going to make sure that these are positioned in front and center. So we have to position them within easy reach or yung madaling abutin. But of course, it depends on your height. Chances are, if you have set of favorite books, you tend to access them regularly. So the advantage of showcasing your favorites and facing them in front and center of your bookshelf is that you tend to save a lot of your time in trying to find your book. Let's move to tip number four. Group similar books together. In libraries, this means grouping books by genre like fiction, nonfiction, biography, and so on. So in library, we use classification system to group books together. We use either Library of Congress or LC and duodecimal classification or the DDC. Most academic libraries or those libraries in colleges and universities use Library of Congress, while school libraries and public libraries often use the DDC. But of course, it also depends on the number of their collection. If you have huge collection, most of them use LC, while if you have smaller number of collections, we use the DDC. These classification system use call numbers to arrange books so that books on the same topic are together. Call number is like an address. It tells us where the book is located. These can be found on the spine of the book as shown on this example. But of course, at home, you should arrange books that make sense to you, no? Hindi na natin kailangan gumamit ng mga call numbers just to arrange our books at home. So I have rounded here a list of ways on how you can group similar books together. So we have 5 categories. You can group similar books together by color, by height and size, by type of cover, by genre or subject, by author or title. Let's try to see the first one. So grouping similar books together by color. Organizing your bookshelves in order of color is not the most practical method, but certainly the most aesthetically pleasing and one way to style your bookshelves. This organization strategy is ideal if you're the type of reader who tends to associate certain stories with their book covers, or if you're just into the idea of a statement bookshelves. The best part about this method is that you can be super creative. You may stack your color, or you may try an ombre pattern, or you may also opt for a rainbow look. Also, you may match your bookshelf with your furnitures. Now, if you're organizing your bookshelves with children in mind, this method is also ideal because color coding your bookshelves means your child can easily find the book that they are looking for without even pulling everything out. This also means that they can easily put things back. They will just familiarize themselves with the colors of the books. Now, if you're the type of person who wants to see a clean and uncluttered look, you may try to use this method. You may group similar books together by height and size. So the goal here is to create straight and even lines with the top of your books. So there's no staggered mountaintop rows. However, depending on the looks that you're going for, you can have a little fun with the arrangements of the books. Maybe you can keep tall books on the edges and then go shorter on the middle. Or you can start first with the tall books going shorter. As what I've told you a while ago, there's no right or wrong ways on how you do it. It depends on your preferences. Let's move to the next one. You can group similar books together by the type of cover. If you're a visual person, it is a great way to start organizing your bookshelves, separating your hardcover books from the paperbacks. It is to create a cleaner and more streamlined look on your bookshelves. Usually, the hardcovers are positioned or placed at the bottom and the paperbacks on top. Because, of course, hardcovers are a little heavier than the paperbacks. Next is grouping similar books together by genre or subject. Organizing your books by genre or subject makes it easy to find the right book for your current need, mood, or interest, so you'll know exactly where to look when you need something at the moment. So here you can group your travel books together, your cookbooks, storybooks, English literature novels or essays, and so on, as shown on this example. You could also keep it simple, like separating your fiction from nonfiction, or you can break things down in general categories such as actions, romance, mysteries, fantasies, religion, and so on. The last method on how you can group similar books together is by arranging it alphabetically by author or title. Alphabetical organization works best if you remember book titles or author names more than genres or subjects. It is so ideal if your collection of books is so massive and it's basically like a small library already. So you may opt to make letter tabs so that you can easily access what you're looking for. So, for example, you arrange your bookshelves according to title. So, this book, Message in a Bottle, will be placed under the letter M tab. But of course, if you prefer to use author names and you remember them more than the title, then you may do so. Aside from the sense of accomplishment, it's really the sense of satisfaction within yourself. For example, your friend dropped by on your place and she or he borrows a book and then you know exactly where to locate it. It's really like a wow factor. Like sa amin ano, sa library, sometimes clients would ask about a certain books or materials. And sometimes we really know exactly where to locate it. And then they would say, memorize nyo ba lahat yung places? Ang galing, parang ganon. So it's really the satisfaction you get, no? Aside, of course, from the organizing side. Now that we're done grouping similar books together, it's now time to think about spacing, which is my tip number 5. Stick to the two-thirds rule. That means fill only two-thirds of each shelf. Hindi natin siya pupunuin lahat ng mga libro. So kung tayo nga minsan, 'di ba, kailangan natin ng space to breathe, to relax, ganun din ang mga libro. Ensuring that your books have space to breathe is not only good for their shelf life, but also for their functionality and the style of your display. As you can see, crowding books tightly makes them impossible to pull out, while overcrowding them makes a cluttered feel. Just make sure that you have empty spaces. What do you do with the empty space depends on what you're trying to achieve. You can add decorative objects, or you can just leave it clear for a minimalist vibe. And now that we have organized our shelves, it's time for the last and arguably the most fun step. Add visual interest with objects. Start organizing your bookshelves and making them a lot more fun. You can even display books facing out library style. You have to remember that bookshelves are not just for books. Your family photos, your favorite art pieces, vases with flowers, decorative accessories. So anything that brings you happiness deserves a designated place on your shelves. Adding visual impact on your bookshelves will turn it into a stylish focal point rather than just something that's purely practical. And of course, sino ba naman ang hindi gaganahan kung ganito ka-organize ang ating work from home setup? So there you have it, a librarian's top 6 tips on how to organize your home bookshelves. I hope everyone is really doing well at home. This has been Carmela Depano-Panganiban. Keep safe and stay healthy. May the PNU Talks be with you.